Okay. Oh. Oh. Om Brahmanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamatsyaadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalam Achalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Om Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Hari Om everybody, and I'm on my iPad today, so if you feel it's a little bit different, then something is wrong with my PC. Anyway, last time we saw verses from verse 11 onwards, where in 11 Bhagwan said that though people approach me, setting up different relationships and ask for different things, and I grant them whatever they want, I grant them. And the reason for that is in this Manushe Loke, in this mortal world on earth, human beings have the choice of wanting whatever, and then because they have desires, they pray to the various deities and they get their results. I'm the one that is giver of the results, but they get the results. The thinking of the common man is that I will act and my action will give me result, or my action is what is giving me results. The correct understanding has to be that yes, actions do give results, but there are other factors as well. So Ishvara is karma phala data. He does give results, but not based only on the action that we have done in the present. It is also based on what we have done in the past. That is forgotten by people. Most people don't know. They think I'm acting right now and that is what result I should get. I told you subjectively, these devatas are our sense organs that we are constantly trying to please. So the eyes are very pleased with color and form, sound, taste, touch, etc. And these are the oblations, in a physical yajna, you offer oblations into the fire, ghee, whatever, samidha, etc., etc. That way, what we are doing is we are constantly offering oblations into our senses, color and form, smell, taste, touch, and then hearing. These oblations we offer, and then they bless us with results. That is what the devatas do. We pray to the devatas. Devatas bless us with the results. Or in modern language, the politicians. We vote for them, and then when they come into power, they bless us with whatever that we wanted. Recently, just last week, this thing happened at my senior center where I volunteer. Michael Lee, who is the MP for this riding, he came, and the manager and the president of the senior center had a few things that they wanted. Simple things, like we want a handy dart area where nobody can park. Then the handy dart, those are parking things, etc., etc. And his assistant was there. He said, please, please, please email everything that you want. Right now, I'm busy because of the elections. And once the elections are over, I will look into this. That's exactly the principle, because what he's come and he shook hands with all the seniors. This area has got a lot of seniors, and he knows that. He needs their votes. Now, when he has promised this, they are going to vote for them. He's a good guy. I mean, last time even I voted for him. But that is the idea, and that is what this verse 12 is. So they pray to the devatas, and then they think that, okay, I worked, I prayed, and I got. So that then Bhagwan goes on to explain the 4 varnas, which I told you, they are not to be considered as the rungs of a ladder. They are the 4 poles that are supporting the ceiling, or they are the 4 poles which support the society. In society also, we see these 4 classifications. In a household also, we see this, and in our own self, in our own body, in our own life. At sometimes we are Brahmins, at sometimes we are Kshatriyas, at sometimes we are Vaishyas, and then we are Shudras. So when there is a predominance of Sattva followed by Rajas and then Tamas, that person is called as a Brahmin. If there is a predominance of Rajas, then Sattva, then Tamas, it's a Kshatriya. Predominance of Rajas followed by Tamas, and then Sattva, that's a Vaishya. And predominance of Tamas followed by Rajas, and then Sattva is a Shudra. But all 4 are equally important in running a community, a society, a country, a house. My individual life also, I need these 4 gunas, because that's what Bhagwan said here, that this division is according to guna and karma. Karma is external, guna is internal. As per the guna, the karma will manifest. Okay, and all are required. And therefore, I told you also, Purusha Sukta, the Virat Purusha is described like that. Face is the Brahmin, shoulders are the Kshatriyas, thighs are the Vaishyas, and feet are the Shudras. And nobody can say that, who cares about the feet? If I don't have feet, it's okay. We cannot say that. There's no way. Okay. Then Bhagwan went on to say that there is no karma which taints me. Why? Because I do not have any doership. I am not doing anything for my egocentric desires. It is ego which collects the vasanas in subtle form. Karma itself is inert. External karma is inert. An inert thing cannot bind us, cannot do anything to what it's inert thing. How can it bind us? Okay. So what is binding us is the doership, because when I have that ego, I have that notion, I am doing this action and I will enjoy. That I, which as per Gurudev he used to call it as the small I, which is ego, which is saying I will do and I will enjoy, that this karma phala is sticking. That is the lepa, that is what is happening. And when that jiva, when that ego travels into the next body, he takes these vasanas with him. In case of Bhagwan, because that ego is not there, and all his actions, I told you, either dharma samstapana or paritranaya sadhana. So all his actions are for the totality. Because of that, he says, no karma can taint me, and I do not have that longing for result. Na me karma phale spraha. Karma phale. The result of the action, I do not have that longing, which we have. We enjoy something which we like. And then not only that we enjoy, but we don't even forget it. We keep repeating it in our mind. When will I get this again? When will I? That is spraha. Spraha is not desire, it is longing for desire. So that longing should be given up, know very well that if it is meant for you, it will come to you. That thing we have to get fixated in. That, okay, if it is meant for me, it will be there. I like something. I say, okay, if it's meant for me, I'll wait for 1 week, I'll wait for 1 month. If it's there, if it's meant for me, it will still be there. Your size will be there still. Nobody will touch it because it's yours. Your name is written on it. Okay. And then Bhagavan says, Iti ma yobi janati, the one who knows. But this knowing is to become, knowing just intellect, okay, now I know Bhagwan doesn't get tainted. That doesn't mean that I will not get tainted. I have to act just like Bhagwan without ego. Okay. Now Bhagwan goes on to explain, like Gurudev has written in there, this seems to be a novel interpretation of the usual Vedic technique of self-perfection. Is there any precedent? So once again, Bhagwan is saying that it appears novel, but it's not novel. It appears to be novel. It's new, but no. And why is it not new? Because this is what Bhagwan is saying now. We were here on verse 15. Evam nyatva kritam karma purvairapi mumukshubhihi kuru karmaiva tasmatvam purvai purvataram kritam. Having known this, the ancient seekers after freedom also performed action. Therefore, you too perform action as did the ancients in the olden times. So by saying that this has been done before is indicating to Arjun that this is nothing new. Don't think that you are the first person on this earth that is now I'm telling you and now you will do it. It's not like that. Previously also there were mumukshubhis. Mumukshu is a person who wants moksha. That's a mumukshu, mumukshubhi. So these plural, the mumukshubhi plural. There were those people who wanted moksha, and because of that, they did karma knowing this principle that I told you in the previous, that karma, you should do karma, but it should not bind you. That is the principle. That is the underlying principle. Like, there's a lion, but if you take off his claws and his teeth, then he's not going to hurt you. He is unable to hurt you. So a lot of karma to be done. But if you don't want that karma to hurt you, what is the hurt here? The bondage. Then you should do it this way. And this is how previously people have done. And therefore, and this is again a direct hit, because Arjun said, I do not want to fight the war. See, Arjun wanted to run away from the war. That's why he's saying, Kuru karmaiva tasmatvam. Therefore, previously people have done. So you also do action. And what is your action right now is to fight. So you do action. This is what Bhagwan is telling him. Now Bhagwan is going to again explain more about karma. Kim karma kima karmeti kavayopyatra mohitaha tatte karma pravakshami yajnatva mokshase shubhat. What is action? What is inaction? As to this, even the wise are deluded. Therefore, I shall teach you action. Note, at least in my copy, action is in inverted commas, in quotes, right? Okay. So I shall teach you what is action, the nature of action and inaction, by knowing which you shall be liberated from the evil of samsara, the wheel of birth and death. So extremely important for us, because we are all grahasthas, we are like Arjun. We need to know what is karma. So there is karma, and then there is inaction, akarma. And the common understanding is, if I'm actually frantically doing something, cleaning my house, cooking, driving, working in the office, I'm doing karma. And suppose if I'm sitting patiently, quietly, then I'm not doing any action, right? Action, inaction. That is our most common understanding. And therefore, Bhagwan is saying here, Kavayo api atra mohitaha. Kavayo, kavi word, kavi, literally translated, kavi is poet. But here, kavi means the wise people. And the reason this kavi is used for wise, or sometimes in later chapter, he will also use kavi for a realized master, because in Hindi there is a saying, kavi jaye jahan ravi na jaye. So those of you who understand Hindi, but English is, the poet goes where the sun even cannot go. Ravi is sun, Kavi is poet. So means what? Means the poet can imagine things which nobody else can see. Sun is required to see, na? So this is why the poet, but the realized master has realized something which ordinary people cannot see. Therefore, this realized master is called Kavi. Here it is the wise. Even the wise, as to this, even the wise are deluded. They don't think. Therefore, you should exactly know what karma is and what is a karma. And if you know that, and if you perform action as per that, you will be liberated. See how important this verse is, because we are constantly in karma. We are constantly doing karma, right? So therefore here Bhagavan says, what should be done and what should not be done. This is what I will explain to you. And the understanding, there is more details in the next one. So I will. So this understanding is wrong, that frantic action is action and sitting quietly is not an action. That is wrong, incorrect understanding. So now in the next verse, we will see in great detail what Bhagavan has said. Karmano yapi bodhavyam, bodhavyam cha vikarmanaha, akarmanascha bodhavyam, gahana karmano gatihi. For verily, the true nature of right action should be known, also that of forbidden or unlawful action, and of inaction. Impenetrable is the nature, path of action. Okay, so there are three words here: karma, vikarma, and akarma. And these three words we must understand very, very well. So let's start with vikarma. In the previous chapter, I had told you there are 5 types of karmas. Now there are 3 types of karmas. Don't get confused. The parallel that I can give you is when we studied the koshas. So there are 5 koshas, we said: Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, and Anandamaya kosha. We said 5 koshas, and then we said there are 3 bodies. They're not different. So Annamaya kosha is gross body, and then the Pranamaya, Manomaya, and Vijnanamaya are the subtle body, and the Anandamaya kosha is the causal body. So 5 koshas divided into 3 bodies. Same way, the 5 types of actions that I told you: Nitya, Naimittika, Kamya, Nishiddha, and Prayashchitta. There are 5 karmas that I told you in the previous chapter. Now I'm telling you these 5 are divided into karma, akarma, and vikarma. Okay, so let's start with vikarma, because that is very easy to understand. Vikarma. Okay, before even I go into that, karma, what is karma? Who decides karma? Karma is only to be decided by Shastra, by the Vedas. Okay, if I decide karma, what action I should do, my decision will always be based on likes and dislikes. I like to do this, so I will do this, and I don't like to do that, so I will not do that. And that is not how action works. Shastras have given action as per our guna, as per our varna and ashrama. Okay, so varna is Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, and ashrama is Brahmacharya ashram, Grahastha ashram, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas ashram. So there are fixed actions that are given. Means, just to give you an example, in the Brahmachari action, Brahmachari ashram, the main thing is studies. Whether you are a Brahmin, Kshatriya, if you're a Kshatriya, you study warfare. If you're a Brahmin, you study the Vedas. If you're Vaishya, you study economics and that thing. So study is the main thing. In Grahastha, earning is the main action to be done. You have to earn and you have to support the other 3. In Vanaprastha, Swadhyaya becomes the topmost duty. Swadhyaya, study, self-study, preparation for sannyasa. And then in sannyasa, it is a total withdrawal from everything else. These are the 4 duties, very, very general, okay? These are the 4 duties that are given by the Shastra. Now, whether I'm a brahmachari, but I don't like to study, I want to go do something else, that is wrong. That's why karma has to be first understood. Okay, so and we have to follow what Shastra has, the Shastra injunctions, because otherwise, if it is left to us, we are only going to do. I don't like to attend class. I am a student, but I don't like to go to school. So I will go, do something else. Now that is wrong. So that's why Bhagavad Gita, whole Bhagavad Gita, it teaches us a duty-oriented life. Life has to be duty-oriented. It should not be like and dislike-oriented. I like this, I don't like this. So I will do this, I will not do that. That should not be. Okay, number 1 point. Now, Vikarma is what I told you, Nishiddha karma. Vikarma is unlawful, like you said, unlawful. For us, not even unlawful. What Shastra is not saying, that becomes Vikarma for us. If I am a brahmachari and I do not want to study and go to school and I want to do something else, that is also becoming Vikarma for me. Something which is not enjoined by the Shastra, when I do, it becomes Vikarma. And so Vikarma has to be totally avoided. So at one level, Vikarma is, stealing, cheating, murder, all the actions, running red light, not stopping at the stop sign. That is all. You see, as you go, I'm telling you, as you go deeper into all these things, like you say, no, don't do that. Don't do that. There's a stop sign. You better come to a complete stop, because that is what dharma is. That is what right action is. So Vikarma falls under there. Now, Gurudev also has given this thing. Now with Vikarma, see, there is Prayashchit karma. If you don't do Vikarma, then Prayashchit karma doesn't come into play. Prayashchit is what? You do something wrong and then you atone for that wrongdoing. That is Prayashchit. Okay. So if you don't do Vikarma, Prayashchit karma doesn't come into play. Now, the other three, Nitya, Naimittika, and Kamya, they fall under karma. Okay, so karma is these three. Nitya, your daily duties, which brushing your teeth, taking bath, going to school, going to work, cooking for the family, cleaning, daily duties. Naimittika, occasional. So in occasional falls, if I fast on Mondays, then every Monday only I will fast. I do not do it on other day. Or people do Satyanarayan Puja once a month at Purnima day, or people fast on Ekadashi or whatever, Karva Chauth. Naimittika is something which is not to be done daily. Let's put it that way. Okay, Shraddha karma comes under Naimittika karma. So all that falls under Naimittika. Now, Akarma is the most important here. So Akarma, like I said, we usually use as opposite. So karma, okay, action. Akarma, no action. That is not correct. So what is Akarma? It's not unactivity, it is translated inactivity. So this akarma is an understanding. Akarma is an understanding that comes from knowing that the substance, I think I am the doer, right now, karma, that is karma. I'm speaking and I'm also thinking that I'm the one that is speaking. So that is karma. But akarma is an understanding that this I that I'm saying, I am speaking, that I is the small I, it is the ego, and I am not the ego. I am that pure consciousness in the presence of whom this action of speaking is happening. So akarma is only an understanding. It is not an object. It is not karma, and it is not, even if a person is sitting quietly, okay, and thinking that, see, everybody is admiring me, how quietly and nicely I'm sitting, then that is falling under karma as well. Let me tell you a story, actually. This might make it easy. So I think some of you may have heard this story, because I tell stories and then I myself can't remember which class I told it in. So I'll tell you this story. This is Gurudev's story, not mine. There was a farmer who used to go to his farm every day, to his field to work. And he used to work very, very hard, the plow and sowing seeds and etc., etc. And on the way to the farm, it was a long walk. There was a lake. And then one day he noticed in the morning that there was a person sitting on the banks of the lake and just sitting. So he had a thought, oh, I'm going to work. This guy is just sitting, doing nothing. Fine, no problem. When he came back in the evening, when he was returning home, he saw the man. He thought, wow, this guy is sitting there whole day and look at me, how much work I put, how much labor I did. Fine. Next day he went, the man was there. He came, the man was there. 15 days, the man was there morning, man was there in the evening, just sitting, doing nothing. He was just sitting by the lake. And this farmer thought that that guy is the one who's lazy and, he's not working, etc., etc. Anyway, after 15 days, the guy disappeared from the lake. He was not there anymore on the 16th day, and this guy forgot about him, and that's fine. A month, 2 months later, he was visiting his friend in the city, and the friend said, oh, there is an art exhibition. Why don't we go and see that one? So when he goes to the art exhibition, he comes across a painting and he says, wait a minute, this is very, very familiar to me. So the friend says, how is it familiar to you? And he suddenly remembers, he said, this is the lake which I pass every day when I go to work. And he said, who painted this, right? And the guy standing behind him, there's a guy, he says, I'm the painter. And when he looks back, it is the same person who was sitting on that lake morning and evening when the farmer was going back and forth, and whom the farmer thought was not doing any action. I am doing so much action, so much work, and this guy is doing nothing, sitting there. And then the farmer was astonished because he said, my God, what a beautiful painting you have depicted this lake so real, because I could actually recognize it. And the painter says, this is what I was doing. I was there before sunrise. So when the sun rose, I had to see how the rays fell on the water and what effect those rays had on that water. And then I had to see when the sun came up, midday sun, then how the water looked. And then I had to wait for the sun to set, so that how the water looked while the sun was setting, and how the atmosphere, how the sky looked, and how it was. And this is what he said I was observing for 15 days before I put it on the canvas. So can you say that he was not acting? He was sitting, still he was doing karma. This guy was frantically working, and he also was doing karma. Both of were doing karma. Okay, so this is karma. So one understanding, you must know that just because a person is just sitting there, he's not doing any action, is not correct. All right, now let's go to akarma. Now, how can every karma can become akarma? Every single karma. So even the case of the farmer and the painter, both of them, as long as they were doing, the farmer, of course, had the ego. I'm working so much. And this guy is just sitting. It is coming out of ego. And therefore, it is karma. Now, if the farmer had the thought that, I am not doing it, this action is happening because of the interaction of the gunas. Akarma is an understanding that every action that is coming out of me is because of Prakriti. It is happening in Prakriti. It is happening because of Prakriti. It is happening because of the interaction of the three gunas, and I am the non-doer. That understanding is akarma. So akarma is not acting. You are acting frantically outside. If you see Swami Vivekananda, if you see Gurudev, frantic action outside. At the same time, we see Raman Maharshi, we see Tapon Maharaj, no action outside. So can we say that they were not acting? And only Gurudev and Vivekananda were acting? No. In this case, all four of them were doing akarma only. Some masters, frantic action outside. Some masters, no action outside. But in either case, the ego was never involved. Even Gurudev or Swami Vivekananda, they said, I'm not the doer. They knew all this is coming because of Prakriti. As long as we also have that understanding, therefore we must understand very clearly what exactly karma is, how it is happening. how does karma happen? Karma happens only because of the gunas. Please know that. Prakriti is the one that is acting. But Prakriti cannot act without the presence of the pure consciousness. Unfortunately, we take ownership of that action, and then we think I'm the one that is doing the action. When I think I'm doing the action, the result of that action is binding me. It binds me. That is the impurity of action. Action becomes impure if it binds me. As long as it doesn't bind me, I can go on doing action as much as I want. Then it won't. Now, even the painter also, he was sitting and he was actually working. He also was working, but he was doing observation. He was observing. So it's not that, only hands work, then that is work. And if I think it is not work, therefore even in Updesh Sar, Raman Maharshi has said the greatest tapas. See, we are studying tapas also. Tapas is like doing things, like fasting, etc., etc. But Raman Maharshi says that the greatest tapas is to think. So a person who is contemplative, outside his body will be very calm. And then the people who are looking at him will think, oh, this guy is doing nothing. Maybe Raman Maharshi also, people saw and thought, what he's not doing anything. He's just sitting there with his eyes closed. This is how Raman Maharshi was sitting. You know how difficult it is to just sit for us? So I'll tell you another story. So there was a temple in a kingdom, and the king was, visiting regularly the temple, and, he would visit, and he noticed that every single person at the temple was frantically busy doing something or the other, except one person who was just sitting there doing nothing. So he thought, this person is not doing anything, but everybody else is so busy, cleaning the temple, washing the temple, praying, doing pujas, doing this, that, etc., cooking, whatever. He ordered the administrator of that temple, don't give this guy food. He doesn't deserve it because he's not doing any work. Everybody else is doing work, so it's okay. Give them food, but not this guy. So the guy who was sitting there, he said to the king, you think I'm not doing anything? He said, of course, you're just sitting there. That's all I can see. Everybody else is running around here and there. He said, okay, king, why don't you come and sit with me for one day? King says, what's the big deal? I will sit. It's difficult to work. What is there in just sitting there? I'll sit. And in 5 minutes, the king says, no, give him food too. Because this is the most difficult work to do, is to just sit there. He was a Mahatma. So he was meditating. So external action doesn't determine whether it is action or inaction. Okay, this is what has to be understood. So there is karma, akarma, and vikarma. Understand karma to be physical action, mental action, vachik, speech also. Speaking is also an action. So all this is falling under karma. If you want to make that karma into akarma, akarma does not indicate a physical withdrawal like Arjun was doing. See, Arjun thought, I will withdraw from the war, and that is akarma. That is what actually it was vikarma. For him, actually what he was doing was vikarma, prohibited action. Because why? Because as a Kshatriya, he was supposed to fight. He wanted to go and beg as a Brahmin. So actually he was doing vikarma, but his understanding was that I'm doing akarma. I'm not doing any action. By withdrawing from the war, I will not do any action. And that's the reason that Bhagavan did not allow him. If it was truly akarma, Bhagavan would have allowed him. But Bhagavan knows. Therefore, Bhagavan is telling him here, detail of action. Understand, Arjun, that running away doesn't mean that you're not doing any action. If you're running away from the battle out of ego, that also is an action, and that will bind you. What is action? Action is that which binds. So even if you withdraw from action and you say, I don't want to do it out of ego, that is considered as an action because it's going to bind you. Okay, so extremely important verse. And the next verse is even more important. Are there any questions on this verse before I go ahead? Everybody's clear? Clear? Okay. The next verse 18 is the heart of this chapter. I told you every chapter has a heart. This chapter has got important verses, but if you were to go for the heart of it, then this is 18. We have seen yada yadai dharmasya. Those two are also very important verses, and 24 is also very, very important verse, which will come. But this is what is actually giving knowledge, and if this verse is followed, it will give realization. It will give moksha. This is moksha through karma. Moksha through karma. Because moksha through karma also is, you get moksha through karma if you can win over the gunas. That's why in 14, Bhagavan will talk about gunatita purusha. Gunatita purusha is also a realized master. He's a realized master through karma itself. By purifying, because already chapter 3 has happened. Okay, so karma yoga is already being done to the fullest. Please remember, not that just karma you do and then you think you'll get moksha. No. Karma yoga is being followed already. We are in 4 now. 3 we studied karma yoga, so that has been mastered. Karma yoga, the main difference between 3 and 4, I think I told you this. In 3, the ego is valid, but it is surrendered. The doership, ego is doership and enjoyership. It is there. Okay, because it already was there from before. Suddenly it cannot go away. Now we have studied the principles of karma yoga. So the doership and enjoyership, we offer it to the higher altar, to God, to guru, to country, to whoever. Okay, here in this chapter, that ego is now completely negated. So there the ego is there, surrendered. Once you surrender it for a long time, it will disappear. It will disappear. Because you give the doership to Bhagwan, but Bhagwan already said, Namam karmani limpanti. You can give me all your actions. Nothing taints me. It is not going to taint me. You can give me your karma phala. It doesn't taint me at all. So Bhagwan has already said that. That's why. That is the main difference between these two. Now, this verse, extremely important. Let's understand it. Karmanya karmaya pashed akarmani cha karmayaha sabuddhiman manusheshu sayukta krishna karma krita. He who recognizes inaction in action. Please note the words carefully. Inaction is one word. Next word is in space, and action is the third word. Okay, please note that. That's extremely important. And action in inaction. So inaction is one word, action, second word in, and then inaction, is wise among men. He is a yogi and a true performer of all actions. A true performer of all actions. So very, very important verse. Now, let us see. So karma is that which creates bondage, straight off. Karma, okay? Akarma, we saw, is an understanding by which karma is actually done physically, but it is not binding me. That is akarma, okay? So what is akarma is actually Paramatma, the pure consciousness. Because this karma is happening because of the presence of pure consciousness, but the pure consciousness is not doing anything, and I am that pure consciousness and I am not the ego, is the understanding which goes into the word akarma. It's an understanding. Please note, it is not a withdrawal from action. It is only an understanding. Now what he's saying is, the one who sees action is going on, okay, frantic action, but the one who sees that actually the pure consciousness is the non-doer. There is the substratum on top of which these actions are going on. Like I told you, because of the interaction of the gunas, the action is happening, but this substratum is not acting at all. And I am that substratum. In ourselves only, we must try to understand that yes, I am acting. Okay, but I should not. That's why in karma yoga we studied, you act, but don't take ownership of that action. When you don't take ownership of the action, it becomes a karma. It is not a withdrawal from action that is a karma. It is action without taking ownership. Get this point? Now, so he who recognizes this substratum in the frantic action that is going on outside. Okay, there is action going on outside. You can take example of Gurudev. Okay, so much action was going on. Every day getting up at 4 o'clock, every day going to bed at 12 o'clock, whole day answering letters, and then meeting people, and then, you know, lectures in the evening, lectures in the morning, morning Upanishad, evening Bhagavad Gita, no Sunday, no holiday, no long weekends. Now we have long weekend, immediately we say no class. He never said, no, Yadnya, long weekend, I have to rest. Frantic action was going on, frantic. But it was a karma, because he was not taking responsibility for, in the sense, not responsibility, not that he was talking whatever, not like that, but he was not taking ownership of that action. He knew that this action is happening because of my gunas. I am above the gunas. I am above the gunas. So in that action, there still was inaction. It was inaction. Even though there was frantic action, there was inaction. Inaction, akarma, is actually Paramatma. It is the substratum, because that is what it is. Now, and action in inaction means what? Means it is my ordained action in inaction. The perfect example is Arjuna only. Okay, so what he was supposed to do? He was supposed to fight, and now out of ego he's withdrawing, and he says that this is inaction. He's thinking that this is inaction. The withdrawal is out of ego. Withdrawal is out of whatever reason, delusion, and he thinks that it is inaction. It is not acting. That is wrong. That is wrong. That also is action. This part has to be understood very, very well. He who recognizes inaction in action. So recognition of that substratum while the action is going on frantically outside. Okay, that's the first part. Second part, there is no action outside, no frantic action outside. And then the person thinks, I am doing a karma. I'm not doing anything. So even the not doing anything is binding him. And because it is binding him, it is deemed as karma, because karma is that which binds. That is the nature of karma. But how do I overcome this nature of karma? If I know that that is the nature of karma, then I should do karma in a way that it will not bind me. The poison will not affect me. It is the poison of karma. And the way that I can avoid that poison is by not taking ownership of that action. And how do I not take ownership of the action? Does it mean, that's why in Karma Yoga also we told you that Karma Yoga doesn't mean, I am not the doer anyway, so let me just do a haphazard job. It is not like that. You do the perfect job. You see the realized masses. That job was perfect outside. It was always perfect. So you do and by perfect for our level, do the best, do it to the best of your ability. It may not be like 100% perfect. It may not be. It doesn't have to be. Is it your 100? Have you given your 100% to that action? Then that's okay. Your 100%. We don't even give our own 100%. That's what they say in our brain. What, we don't even use half, or even less than that. We don't use the brain, right? That's what it said. So the potential that we have, are we giving 100% of that potential? That is what is to be given. Karma Yoga doesn't mean you act below potential. You act up to your potential. Suppose your potential is 50, as per somebody else, maybe you only have 50% potential, but that's your 100. It may be his 50%, but it's your 100%. So you do it sincerely. And know, out of knowledge, you should know that this is Prakriti that is acting. The pure consciousness never acts. And I am the pure consciousness. If you get established in this, you will become the Gunatita Purusha. That's how this is. And a true performer of all actions is one who performs actions frantically, knowing that he is not the doer. In Karma Yoga, he performs actions frantically, offering the doership. So I am the doer, I know that, but now I will surrender it to God or Guru, whatever. Okay, that is Karma Yoga. Here, there is no doership. That is the difference between chapter 3 and chapter 4. So it's a progression. That's why the next chapter, it will be sannyas only, complete sannyas and then meditation. So it's a slow progression. That's where we are also at the level of Arjuna. That's where he was. So therefore, Bhagavan started with Karma Yoga, not suddenly sannyas or anything like that. He said, you do karma is Karma Yoga. And then from Karma Yoga, you go into sannyasa, karma sannyasa. Okay, this is what is renunciation of action. What is renunciation? Renunciation word is understood as giving up, right? Renounce. I renounce my wealth, I renounce my whatever clothes or whatever. It's giving up. So people think renunciation of action is physically giving up the action. That is wrong. That is wrong. So renunciation has to be of the ego and not of the action itself. And if this is recognized, this is how I recognize through knowledge. Okay? That's the secret of performing action. This is a secret. There's a book, I think, a little chapter in Kindle Life, Secret of Action. This is the secret of action. So you do action and remain free. Don't take ownership for the action. And then when the result comes, accept it. That's why we gave the principles in Karma Yoga. Those principles, if you follow, sense of duty, asangata, surrender, prasad buddhi, samatva buddhi, equanimity while performing the action, then when the result comes, you will be equanimous. When there is extreme desire, therefore in chapter 3, Bhagavan said, don't worry about the past, don't have anxieties of the future, do action in the present. Be in the present, just do whatever is, don't worry about the future. Because the future is, we cannot predict the future. There's no way that it is, all the results are dependent on what I've done. Because there's something from the past as well. Okay, any questions? No questions? Yes, Nitya, go ahead.
Just a thought, Jayaji. One is that I feel like the earlier verse is we spoke about not taking ownership for action. And somehow it seems easier when you do something good and, somebody says, oh, thank you, you're great or whatever, right? That part seems easy. But when you do something that's not right, you hurt somebody or you do something like that. So am I understanding this correctly, that you would, of course, in a transactional world, still make amends, things like that, but you avoid constant rumination about it, that, oh, why did I, but understand that the gunas made me perform this. I'm not sure though how that will allow somebody to retain that memory that, hey, I did this the last time, and I should avoid it again, right? How does one strike that balance of, I did it because of the gunas, but again, I'm going to try to avoid it. How would I get that from a transactional point? I'm trying to see how one would do that.
Yeah. Okay. So the first thing we also say is that avoid vanity and guilt. Okay. Vanity also indicates doership, and guilt also indicates doership. So when I do something good, that's why we gave the trick, thank you, Lord. This thing happened. Thank you, Lord. Because of you, I had this good thought and I did it, and I got that whatever result, whatever. Okay. And when the guilt comes, like you say, you must atone. You're doing something wrong. Fine. Memory is something different. Okay. And at that point, if you understand that it is the gunas that made me do it, what is memory based on? Memory is based on practice, right? You do it over and over and over again. I've given you the example of driving license. You get your license, and then nobody is like expert driver. You just go give your exam, and then you get a license, and then you practice. So with the guilt also, this, as you get established in the knowledge that gunas are the ones that are acting and I am not acting, you will remember it. You will remember it. So immediately it'll come, wait a minute, this is how I reacted last time, and then I felt bad about it, so I should not react like that this time. I think that will come. Does that make sense? Because establishment in the knowledge is what is going to give us the memory, right? That's why we've always said, like, we hear and then it goes out of the other ear. It needs to go into our heart, and then it needs to come out at the right time. That is wisdom. And it is not easy, but that is the way, right? Just keep practicing and understand why you were wrong in doing that. Sometimes we judge a person, even that, those things happen, right? So if you can keep that in mind, but because the truth is that the action is happening because of the gunas, that we cannot negate, falsify, doubt. We cannot doubt that the supreme reality is not acting. And also we must not have a doubt that we are Brahman right now, even though I don't consider myself to be that. Practice makes perfect. So it'll happen once, it'll happen twice, third time at least you'll remember, na? Suppose, I think that, after, oh my Lord, this is what I did last time, now I better not do that, right? So, yeah, I know. It is, you must never think that Vedanta is only in the books. It is a very, very, and Gita, Bhagavad Gita, there's nothing more practical than Bhagavad Gita. Because it is not, I told you, the student is us. Arjun, we are at the level or little below only maybe, but we are never at the level of the Upanishadic student. If you read Upanishads, there is nothing, no karma, yoga, nothing, straight knowledge, right? Because that student has already done everything. We are still struggling. It'll come. All right.
I have a couple of points to say.
Sure.
One of the way to stop this feeling guilty and all this kind of thing, is, as you said earlier, before I go to bed, I sit down and go through the day, and say to myself, oh, that should have been right or done differently. That itself takes the interest. I realign myself for the next day or for the next situation. That's the one thing. And second one is, on a lighter note, normal parlance is that renunciation is supposed to be retirement. I know, I understand, but normally the people who have not got into this kind of thing, they just take this word superficially to understand is retirement,
Yeah. But yeah, as spiritual seekers, now we know more, like more in the sense, now we are reading Shastra, we're reading Bhagavad Gita. So
yeah.
Retirement doesn't, there are so many other things that can be done in retirement, right? So we can keep ourselves busy, and as actually we retire, we should go more into our studies. That's why I said Vanaprastha is meant for, not when your body starts saying. That is the mistake that people make. This is a very, very common thought, that these studies are meant for after retirement.
Yeah.
No, it is a very, very, very common thought. And And this is what it said, when your body is old and aging and can't sit down, then what are you going to study? You have to study when your brain is like, a little bit younger, when your body is a little bit stronger, a little bit, And then what happens is, when you start at a fairly young stage, start with the thing that I'm not the body, then in your old age, when the body starts hurting, which it will, something or the other is going to go wrong with the body, it is the body. At that time, by that time, that knowledge will have been fixed in your mind. I've told you that people have come to Swamiji, Guruji, and the gentleman had the couple, they said the same thing. They said, after retirement, we will travel, even for other things. They said, oh, after retirement, we'll travel. After retirement, we'll do Vedanta. They could not even retire because both of them had such physical difficulties. He was a dentist, she was a doctor, and they gave up their practice. He developed Parkinson's. He gave it up in 1 week. He shut this practice down. How can he practice, right? So he didn't even retire. And she herself told me that, because I was standing waiting for Swamiji for one of the yajnas, and she said, it's good that you're doing it at this age, because I thought I will travel. I do not even have the guts to take my husband to Calgary, she said. And she had relatives there. And she said, I don't even have the guts to take him. Vancouver to Calgary, she didn't have the guts. And she said, I was going to travel after I retire, and I thought I will attend lectures after I retire. And after, we don't know what is in the future. Yeah. So to start now. Now is in our hands.
That's
now
right.
is in the present is in our hand, right? So we should all start. Any questions? Have a happy Thanksgiving holiday, and next Sunday there is class. On the 30th of October, there won't be a class, okay? That is for the AGM. Vancouver AGM is there. So 30th, there's no class. But next week is 16th. And after that is 23rd. So both days there will be class. Okay, all right. Om swasti prajabhyah paripalayantam nyayena margena mahim mahishaah gobrahmanebhyah shubhamastu nityam loka samasta sukhino bhavantu kale varshatu parjanyah prithvi sasya shalini desho yam kshobarahita brahmana santu nirbhayaah. Om sarvesham swasti bhavatu sarvesham shantir bhavatu sarvesham purnam bhavatu sarvesham mangalam bhavatu sarve bhavantu sukhinah sarve santu niramayah sarve bhadrani Shantu ma kashit dukha bhag bhave tom asatoma sadgamaya tamasoma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amratam gamaya. Om purnamadav purnamidam purnat purnamadachyate purnasya purnamadaya purnameva avashishate. Om shanti shanti shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Hari Om, everybody.